Good morning, everyone. I'm Irfan Sabir, MLA for Calgary Buller McCall. I'm also joined here today by Shannon Phillips, our Alberta NDP Finance Critic, and MLA for Lethbridge West. Let me begin by acknowledging that we are gathered here on the traditional lands of Treaty 7 First Nations, and also recognize and acknowledge Métis people of Alberta who share a deep connection with this land. We are here today to share information that shows that Danielle Smith's auto insurance freeze is a fake. And it's one more reason why Danielle Smith and the UCP can't be trusted to keep their promises or support Albertan during this affordability crisis. Our NDP government was proud to introduce a cap on insurance premium rates. But shortly after being elected, the UCP removed the cap almost immediately. Insurance rate hiked. Albertans saw double-digit increases to their insurance, with some as high as 30%. To make matters worse, these increases happened in the middle of the pandemic, when Albertans were driving less and working less. Despite repeated calls from our party and Albertans, the UCP refused to reinstate the cap. Last November, I introduced legislation to put a freeze on insurance rate, but the UCP refused to debate that bill. But at the end of January, under the threat of a looming May election, they reversed course and introduced a one-year freeze on auto insurance premiums. So we thought that that's what they are doing. With more on that, I will turn things over to Shannon Phillips.
Good morning, and thank you, Irfan. As Irfan mentioned, Danielle Smith and the UCP claim to have introduced an auto insurance rate freeze at the end of January. Remember, this rate freeze was announced on January 26th and allegedly took effect immediately. But an examination of the Automobile Insurance Rate Board filings show that 2 auto insurance providers were approved for increases on March 1st. Traders Insurance was approved for a 13% increase, while Aviva Insurance was approved for a 16% increase. Those are pretty big increases that were approved after the freeze supposedly took effect. It is worth noting that Aviva is one of the largest insurance providers here in the province, so this will affect thousands of Albertans. It is not clear why these increases were approved at a time when rates were supposedly frozen. Danielle Smith and the UCP have a lot of questions to answer. All we can conclude from this fake freeze is that Danielle Smith's auto insurance promises are fake, just as many of her affordability measures in her budget are fake, and that on auto insurance, Danielle Smith and the UCP lied to Albertans. At a time when Albertans are already struggling to keep a roof over their head and keep their vehicle on the road just to get to work, Danielle Smith and the UCP are piling on more costs after already increasing taxes, fees, tuition, utilities. This is dishonest, and Albertans deserve answers about why this happened. But most importantly, Albertans deserve a government that can be trusted to make life more affordable. That's why folks can count on Rachel Notley and an Alberta NDP government to get a hold of the massive rises in the cost of living, including car insurance. Thank you, and we'll now take your questions.
Okay, we'll go to questions on the line. Just a reminder, if you're joining by Zoom, to use the raise hand function, and if you're joining by phone, to press *9. And seeing no questions, that's all for today.
Thank you.
Oh, what? Sorry, no, we got one question here. One second. You're still good? Okay, we'll go to our first caller.
Hi, it's Lisa calling from the Journal. Sorry, I have an off-topic question for you both. I'm wondering if you might be interested in commenting on something that we've heard from the federal health minister this morning, that the Canada Health Transfer dollars going to Alberta and a number of other provinces are being clawed back because of patient charges levied in 2020, 2021, they say that were for medically necessary services. So Alberta's looking at deductions in the range of $13.7 million for that year. I'm wondering what the NDP would say to that.
I'd have to get a bit more information on what those patient charges were and what the federal government is thinking are medically necessary, and where the pieces of disagreement are with the province. $13 million is a relatively small amount of money relative to the block of funding that comes in the Canada Health Transfer. So I think I would have to seek more information. In general, the best case scenario is that Albertans are not paying out of pocket for medically necessary services. And certainly we know that Danielle Smith has a plan to ensure that Albertans pay out of pocket for a family doctor. She's been very clear about that. And we know that over time there have been successive UCP decisions that have made more expenses, raised expenses for healthcare for Albertans. Having said that, during the pandemic years, there was obviously a lot of change and flux within the healthcare system. And so I think in order to be fair, we'd have to seek a bit more information. But there's no question there's a trend towards Albertans paying more for healthcare.
Is there a follow-up, Lisa?
No, thanks. Thank you very much.
Okay, one more pass for questions on the line. And seeing none, that's all for today.
So much for watching, and to learn more, check out albertasfuture.ca.